Welcome, everyone. It's time for another episode of the Get to Know Her show. I am so excited. Today, I am bringing on a very special guest. Her name is Joanne Wright-Howard. I have known Joanne since grade 3, you guys. There is so much to talk about. I'm really, really excited. Before we get started, I just want to thank again our sponsor, Brenda Badome, who is now sponsoring the Get to Know Her show. And she is dressing me in beautiful clothes every day. I'm going to show you this top I have on today. So check this out. I want you to notice something here. You know what I love about Brenda? She really understands a woman's body. And so now in this lovely phase of life called perimenopause, we tend to get a little more round in the belly. And her tops are so flattering because they slimline you. You feel comfortable, so you don't feel anything pressing on your belly. I know I'm really sensitive to that now. And I feel great. I don't feel like, when you have those peasant tops on and it's kind of like, it looks like a pregnancy top. That's not the look we want, ladies. So anyway, go visit my friend Brenda Badome's website. I will leave her info in the comments after the interview. And her name is BrendaBedome.com for her website. And if you use the coupon code Get to Know Her, you will get 13% off of your order. So how fabulous is that? Are you ready for Joanne? I'm so ready for Joanne. I am bringing her on right this second.
Hi.
Joanne, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. This is so fun. I have to point out, you just did a whole series of beautiful Instagram stories and you said so many nice things. I was like wiping the tears away.
It's all true. Gosh, it's hard. We've known each other since, oh my goodness, grade 3. So
yes,
and like 8.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
Over 40 years. It's nutty.
I know. And we look 25. Like, come on.
That water. Inside water.
That's right. It's the water. It is. So, yeah. Joe, you know what I'd love to do? The first question I always ask is, what did you want to do? Let's start with that first question, actually, because I got a whole bunch of questions for you. But as a little girl growing up, do you remember your very first, like maybe it was an entrepreneurial thought, maybe it was a calling, a yearning? What was your first thought on what little Joanne wanted to be when she grew up?
And it's so funny too, again, like we have so many similarities, and I know that you are like the most entrepreneurial person that I know. And I remember when we were little and you were doing hand painted t-shirts and you started doing jewelry long before glam jewels. So we're definitely cut from the same cloth there, because I am an entrepreneur in my bones. Like it's in my blood. And I remember we were still in Montreal before we moved to Oakville. So I would have been like, I don't know, 5 or 6 or 7. And my dad always, he worked and then he would come home and he always had a business that he ran in the house. So like from the house.
Okay. Yeah.
I remember he, I don't even know what he did really. He sold like blades and things like that. And I remember he'd pack up orders and he would let me help him, that big machine with the brown tape with the water.
Yes.
Yeah. He'd let me stamp the parcels and stuff like that. And I was involved with him. He humored me and let him help. But I knew very well that he worked for the boss, and then he had his thing when he came home. And I couldn't understand why he was doing what he was doing. I'm like, I wanted him to open a candy store is what I wanted him to do. I couldn't understand, like, why do you have to do this? Why can't you just open a candy store? And he said, well, I can't. I have a job. And I'm like, well, why can't you quit your job? And he, well, I can't, I have a boss. And I remember growing up thinking like a boss was, a bad thing. A boss was a bad person. A boss wouldn't prevented you from doing what you really wanted to do, which was like open a candy store. So I vowed to myself that when I grew up that I wouldn't have a boss and that I would do what I wanted to do, which, I ended up opening a store, not a candy store, but I did end up opening a store eventually. So I kind of ran the gamut. I worked, I went to university and then I got offered a really good job in the commercial fashion, commercial photography business. So I ended up leaving university early. I didn't actually get my degree I still sometimes wish that I could go back just so I can get that piece of paper for my wall. But I ended up leaving early and started working. And I worked for, I don't know, about a year and a half in commercial photography. And I ended up quitting and going freelance, which was, you know, I have one thing I'm not afraid to leap. So I've always kind of, you know, and so I did that and it ended up working out really well. I was super busy. So I was working on a freelance basis. If anyone out there can relate and worked freelance, you know, it's a feast or famine business. You're always walking this tightrope, you know, and you don't want to fall off. So the phone's either ringing off the hook or it's not ringing at all. So when someone, you know, you get offered a job, you do everything in your power to take it. So I was working, you know, doubling up on jobs and stuff and running around like a crazy lady. And it was super stressful because you are just afraid the phone is going to stop ringing. You don't want to say no to anybody because they might not call you again.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was,
you know what, I'm just thinking, Jo, like as you're saying this, I'm remembering back to when, you know, public school and when you came to Oakville. I want to go back there for a second because, you know, you were already in Montreal. It was like grade 3 when you came.
Yes.
And that transition must have been quite difficult because by that age, I mean, you've already got friends, you know, in Montreal where you came from and you sort of had your roots there. And now here you are in Oakville with all these new kids. And I still remember you and I remember looking at you and thinking, this girl is one of my girls. Like, she is awesome. I want to be her friend. She's wonderful. And you know, as you're talking about your freelance work and people calling and all this chaos and all of this, there's so many moments in life where we have these like chaotic times and something good always comes of them. And I feel like grade 3 was a place where not only you were there, our friend Catherine was there. There were a whole slew of girls and we all kind of came together because we had this very difficult teacher, remember? And she was a teacher who made us feel quite isolated. It was almost like we were the underdogs and then there were the cool kids and she was more focused on them than us. And we were so powerful. We came together, we supported each other. That teacher told our parents things about us where our parents were like, what kid are you talking about? You know, that, oh, she's shy, she's withdrawn, all these things. We were hearing all this like negative messaging from this teacher. And it was the support of all of us who really, I mean, we lifted each other so much. And you were a huge part of that for me. Like, you know, thank God you came to Oakville. We needed you.
Oh, you're so sweet. I remember you coming up to me in the schoolyard. I remember you saying, "Do you want to, you know, do you want to come and play with us? Do you want to?" I appreciated that, right?
That's well, really, you were. Yeah, and it's so great, and for those of you who are watching now, actually, Joanne and I are part of a group of 7 women, and we call our public school was Woodside, and we call ourselves the Woodside Wonder Women, and we actually get on a live call every Saturday morning at 9:00, and we check in, and you know, our friendship it's golden. It's just amazing. Not many people can say that they're still talking to their kindergarten and grade 3 friends, right? Like,
right. It's so interesting. And so many of us ended up living in the same neighborhood too. Which,
yes.
You know, that's,
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I remember, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I love that.
I was going to say, I remember, you know, because I left Oakville. I went and I lived in England for 5 years, and I came back, and then I moved to Toronto, and then ended up coming back to Burlington. And I ran into you in the LCBO, I remember.
Oh, really? I must have been buying something for a friend.
And but we had a chat and we it was like as if no time had passed, which I think is so wonderful, and it's such a wonderful kind of testament, you know, to a true friendship. It's we had so many things in common too after all of these years.
Yes.
It's foundation.
That's right. And it's all these little things that, you know, these little connections and meaningful things like those school years, you know, with kids going back to school now. I mean, it's such a different world for them. And those really are the formative years. And that's where you really become the person I think that you're meant to be in the world. Like there's so many traits we had back then that they're still there. We're still those girls in grade 3 and grade 4, and we've just got, you know, more years and more wisdom on us. But I still remember, Joanne, that in 1980, after we all went to see Xanadu for my birthday, and I had to be Olivia Newton-John that Halloween. I was like, that I have to be Kira from Xanadu. And you very kindly said, well, you can be her. And how about, would you like to borrow my brother's roller skates? They're black, but they'll work. And then so I wore them and I felt so great, but then they were hurting my feet. And you stuck with me. Like, I think we took turns carrying the roller skates as we trick-or-treated.
Oh my gosh, I remember that. That's so funny.
Yeah, it was so great.
Those K-Tel albums, like Full Tilt and stuff. And
oh yeah,
lives in the basement. I wonder if kids still do that. Well, I guess they do, but they just do it on TikTok now.
Yeah, I guess so. But that was another great thing. That was our thing for all of our birthday parties. We would take turns doing different. It was always a dance party. It was either like a 1950s themed, or remember we had the punk rock party. Mm-hmm. We had everything was about disco and oh my god, yeah.
Oh, I love that.
So much fun.
That. We'd run to the record store every week and get like the top 10 list from the record store. Do you remember?
Yeah. I'm trying to remember, where was the record store back then?
Hopedale.
Hopedale. Yeah. In that corner there. Yeah. So, that was so fantastic.
Remember what your first album was that you bought with your own money?
Yes. What was yours? Tell me yours first.
Mine was the Safety Dance, Men Without Hats.
It was?
Yeah. Actually,
I
got that one, and I got Whirly Girl. That song, Whirly Girl. Those are my first albums I bought with my own money.
Oh my God, you are so new wave. That's so cool. So mine was earlier than you, and that's only because of a circumstance. So I had a paper route. Remember the Oakville Shopping News?
Yes. Yeah.
So my brother and I delivered that paper. I hated that job, but I saved some money, and my mom and dad took us to Caravan in Toronto. Mm-hmm. Did you ever do that with your parents? It was like, we actually went with Catherine and her family. And so what happens is they had all these different pavilions in Toronto, and you could go and visit the pavilions, and each pavilion represented a different country. Yeah. So, and you'd have like this fake passport where you'd get your passport stamped. So one of the places we went, because my parents went there for their honeymoon, was to the Jamaican pavilion. And I had heard some reggae because my parents always loved calypso and reggae, and also being friends with our friends Melanie, Melissa. They were both Jamaican background. So we, you know, you and I, we knew reggae early on. Anyway, they were playing Bob Marley Uprising, and I bought the album there with my so I was about 10 or 11 years old. And my first 45 was at a garage sale at the next door neighbors. It was ELO, Shine a Little Love. Remember that?
Look at you. That's amazing. Oh my God.
It's so cool. Now, I have to ask you, have you kept all your concert stubs over the years? No.
I wish I had, because that was a huge part of my teen years and early 20s was going to concerts. Do you remember what your concert was? Of course you do.
Yes, I do. What was yours? Tell me yours first.
I'm embarrassed to tell you. So I won tickets to this concert. Do you remember City TV? They used to have City TV t-shirts, and if you were spotted wearing a City TV t-shirt, you could win a prize. So I was at CNE and I was wearing my City TV shirt, and I won tickets to Loverboy. So that was my first concert, was Loverboy.
Oh my God, that's so amazing. Was he wearing the red leather pants at the concert?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And Heart opened up.
Oh, well, that's huge.
Yeah. Oh, too funny.
Oh my, who did you go with?
I don't even remember.
Would have been your sister, your older sister, maybe?
No, I think maybe a Cindy. I can't remember. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I remember now. It was so long ago. Yeah.
Oh, that's hysterical. So my first concert, so that was at the CNE, the Lover Boy with Heart.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my first concert was also at the CNE. And again, I was much younger. I was 8 or 9. It was Captain and Tennille
Oh my
with
God.
my mom and dad. Yes. And they had it wasn't a video wall. You know what it was? It was basically like, remember our teachers used to pull down the screen to show us a movie?
Mm-hmm.
It was one of those, maybe a little bit bigger. And they showed, while they were playing their music, they showed home movies of them with their dogs.
Oh my God. That's so funny.
It was so good.
That's hilarious. Oh my God. I remember Joanne was my next one after Loverboy that I actually wanted to go to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gardens.
Yes, I was there too.
Yes,
Didn't we both get, remember there was something, it was when the Reflex came out. There was a guy we went to high school with.
Right, yeah.
What was his name? Paul Ship, I think?
Yeah, yeah.
And he was captured. He's the redhead going like this. So if anybody sees that with the new wave hair, that guy, did he go to our high school or just?
Yeah. I think so.
Or was it White Oaks? Or I don't know.
Maybe went to our high school. I can't remember, but yeah. He went to our high school.
Oh my gosh. So
funny.
Cool.
Although every single person that I know from that era thinks that person went to their high school. So
is it okay? So it's like an urban legend or whatever.
Too funny. I remember that was the best concert.
Wasn't that good?
And I think Edwin jeans. Do you remember Edwin jeans?
I remember those, and I remember yours because I think you're the first person I knew who had Edwin's, and you're also the first. I'm sure, Joanne, you're the first person who had Roadrunners at Woodside, aren't you? The first
I don't
had Roadrunner jeans?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't remember.
You were very hip on the denim.
I was the first one to have Doc Martens at high school. I know that.
Okay.
I got them in England, so.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, because we'd go to Jean Machine on Spears Road.
Right. Yes, we did.
Our jeans. Yeah.
What's going on?
Oh, we had it going on, and then our roller skating escapades. Oh my God. Okay, we could go on about this for 3 hours minimum, but so I'd love to go back to after high school. So what happened? And by the way, I find it inspiring that you didn't go through with your piece of paper on the wall.
Yeah.
Because you know what? I mean, I think there's so much pressure to do that, but I also remember what a great student you were. You helped me with my studies. You were very strong in English and history. You just seemed to pick things up quickly. So I could totally see you being a person who got bored with school and didn't want to be told what to do and said, the candy store's waiting and I'm out of here.
Yeah.
So what was kind of going through your head after high school, Joe? Like,
well, this is the funny thing. And I kind of, I talked about that on a post not too long ago on my Instagram. Because I was brought up that you go to school, you go to high school, or you go to university, you get a job, like that's, you get married. That's like most of us were. And I remember I wanted to do culinary. I wanted to go to George Brown and do culinary. At the time, they didn't have, I stopped eating meat when I was 15, and I didn't want to, cook meat and handle meat. So I didn't enroll in that. And I remember wanting to do like nutrition, wanting to do, something to do with health and nutrition. And I remember my dad, he wanted me to take it a step further and become like a food scientist. And I'm like, I don't, that doesn't, it doesn't really, now I wish I'd listened to him because I'm super nerdy about that kind of stuff. But at the time that wasn't really what I wanted to do. So I just went to university and did what I was good at, which was English and history. That was what I was good at. It's not what I was fired up about. It didn't really, make me want to jump out of bed in the morning. And so I was never that invested in my studies. And even though I did well, it just, when, the opportunity to leave it came along, I jumped because it wasn't something that I loved to do. And I really wish that I had done nutrition. I wish that I had done some sort of culinary back then because that was what I loved and that's what lit me up. So, I think it's never too late to follow your heart. You really have to do what lights you up. That's what it's all about. Right. So, so I ended up leaving and, like I said, I took this job and got me, that was the beginning of my kind of entrepreneurial career, being freelance. And so then when my relationship ended, I thought, well, what am I going to do now? And I didn't want to start working for someone else again. I'd already had a taste of what it was like to, work for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought I would open a store, because I did enjoy fashion, but by that time I already had 2 little ones, and I was more, like as hokey as it sounds, I couldn't really care less about women's fashion. I was all about my kids. It was all that I was focused on. So I thought, what, I could open a store for kids, with cool kids clothes, and that's what I did. So
yeah,
it's a real learning experience for sure.
And you had your Oakville location, and it was called Jet Baby. I'm sure a lot of people watching remember your store.
Yeah.
And so you had your Oakville location,
mm-hmm.
and then you also opened another location in Toronto.
Yes, on the day before. Yeah,
very brave, Joanne.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was bravery or just pure foolishness or just not knowing what was ahead of me. But I had been living on the Danforth. Love that neighborhood, right in Riverdale kind of thing, in Greektown. And I was sad to leave it to come back to Oakville, but I just wanted, after my relationship ended, I just wanted to come home, which was Oakville. So I opened my store there, but I had this burning desire to open the store in Toronto, and I am so stubborn. I had to make it happen. So I got the store going, and then decided to open up a second location. But what I didn't realize was there was still only one of me. So I had the 2 stores. I had double the inventory, double the expenses, double the employees, double everything, and still one of me. So and I also had an online store. So I basically tripled my workload. And it was still just me. And, having a small business, it was tough. I stuck it out for 8 years with that. And, on the surface, I loved my store. I met so many great customers. I had such a loyal customer base. The store, by all appearances, was doing great. But it's what you see. What you don't see is what's happening behind the scenes kind of thing. And just retail, the business model of retail is just really tough. Having a small business, as it comes with its fair share of challenges, because you're wearing all of the hats all of the time, right? And sometimes, just having someone else to bounce, ideas off, to share the responsibility. It's hard sometimes doing it all on your own. But then when
it is, and don't you find too, Joe? It's like you go into it and you have all this passion and you have a real vision about where you want to take it. And so that's at the forefront of your brain. That's what keeps you getting up in the morning, keeps you going. But then it's all these finite little details, and you realize how precious time is, and you're trying to do all these things. And it's like, I have this vision and I see where it can go, but it's hard. You feel like you're kind of like tugging at a rope to get to the top. Like, I know it's there, but I still have to take care of all this other stuff. And I feel for you, because that could not have been easy. You were so brave. You were brave to do what you did, because anyone who has their own business knows, like, you don't just snap your fingers and go, well, this is all going to fall into place, Yeah. And then managing people. That's another part of it, No, that's hard. Managing people is so hard. I don't have kids, but I feel like it's almost like something like being a mom. Like, it's like, oh, okay, well, this is different. Nobody gave me a handbook on this. I know we can learn how to manage people, but it's tough. I can only imagine the stress you were under.
That was one of the first pieces of advice that I got. When you have a good employee, they're gold, and you hang on to them, kind of thing. And I was so lucky. I had some amazing women that worked with me, and I hate to say they worked for me. They worked with me because they helped me so much. But you can't pay someone to be as emotionally invested as you are when you have a business. It was tough. It was like a ball and chain. Those 4 walls, it was like a ball and chain for me. And then, I'd spend all day on the phone with UPS because I got charged duties or whatever, or, the
Mm-hmm.
internet wasn't working. So I'd be on the phone all day with Val, or like, you come in and like the toilet's not working, stuff like that.
Yes.
The things like you are pulled away from doing what you actually wanted to do in the first place, which is, help people and stock the store with cool stuff. So I loved certain aspects of it. I loved buying. I loved all of that part of it. I loved researching new lines and things like that to bring in. But I was attached to those four walls, and
yes,
it was tough. And
wow.
that, you have to pay for everything up front. All of that inventory you have to pay for up front. And with clothing, there's a window, especially seasonal stuff. There's a window. So you get it in, you've paid for it all, and then you're sitting and waiting for it to sell. And you've got a short window to do it in. And, it was really overwhelming when, the invoices that would come in, $10,000, $8,000, $12,000, $18,000, like day after day after day. And it's just, you're always scrambling to kind of keep your head above water. So it was a real lesson for sure. And I don't know if I would do it again, but I certainly, recognize the lesson, and I've been able to move on from
it. That's great. So, you know what else I'm really interested to hear, because I think that starting a business and ending a business are equally as powerful and wonderful and important, because you know what? There's nothing, when you end something in your life, it does not ever mean failure. It means you had the guts to try. You went out there, you did your best at it. And you know what? So what? I mean, maybe you could have stuck with Jet Baby forever, but your interest changed. Your kids got older. I mean, all kinds of other things were probably coming into play in your life, and it's your decision to make, to start and stop. And I'm so proud of you that you did that. And, I wonder what that felt like too, Joe, when you decided to make that decision to end the business. Like, what was going on in your mind emotionally, and what were you sort of struggling with internally?
Yeah, that's a great question. And, it was manifesting itself. The stress was just manifesting itself in so many different ways. Like, I just couldn't sleep. I was having like panic attacks about money. I mean, the financials, if I told you, I mean, it cost, it was $80,000. I'd sold my house on the day before, so I had, some money to open the store with. It was $80,000 before I even unlocked the door and turned on the cash register. Wow. And that barely even got me inventory. That was racking and, renovations and all that stuff. This was back in 2006. It would be, way more now. And then by the time I closed the store, it was about $275,000 that store cost me personally. And how on earth did I come up with that? But it was just a slow bleed. It's like my tax return went to my store. I cashed in some RRSPs. I remortgaged my house. Like, I was still working freelance in the fashion industry, and then my paychecks would go straight towards the store. It was, and over time, that's how much it ended up costing, $275. So I can't really even think about it too hard, because it's almost abstract. It's just numbers on a piece of paper. It doesn't really, I still have my health and my house and stuff. So I try and focus on that. But I remember just feeling so desperate, and almost like I was at the bottom of a well and looking up and just seeing a circle of light above me. Like, I just couldn't find my way out, although I could see it, and it was my brother-in-law, who I respect so much as a business person. And he was the one that gave me permission to close it. And I said, I can't do that. I can't do that. And I think it was my ego. It was my pride that was speaking. He said, yes, you can. He said, you could go work at Tim Hortons and you'd be in a better position. Like, no, I wouldn't. He said, yes, you would. You wouldn't owe anybody anything. And the gravity of those words, like, it just was like, oh my God, it's like the clouds parted and the angels started singing, and I'm like, I can, it's okay. But, and it was really tied to my ego and my emotion. But I realized now, after closing, it wasn't me that failed. It was just that business model is really, really difficult. And, how many stores, restaurants open and then close after, only a few years. You can make it beyond the 5-year mark, having a brick and mortar business. Like, that's that's something to, congratulate yourself on. So, and, with everything that's going on now with COVID, and I just keep thinking, thank my lucky stars that I don't have a brick and mortar store now. I feel so much for small business owners that, that had to close their doors, that don't have an online platform,
Yeah, definitely. Oh, Joanne, I think that's just amazing. And so what would your advice be to someone who is maybe faced right now with, I have this brick and mortar store, I've been here for years, my neighborhood knows me, but nobody's coming in and I'm not making the sales to even pay the rent. That's the other thing that's so tough. It's like, if you have a beautiful shop on a main road, it's, not many people are owning those buildings who are, rent is their only option, and that's tough, right? So what would you say to someone who's faced with that decision right now?
Yeah. I mean, I think in that case, it's all about the customer service. You have to go out of your way to provide an experience for people, I think, so that there is that customer loyalty. And I think that was one thing that, I tried really hard to do, was to create an experience for people when they shopped in the store. And I think exploring online, your online platforms, really, if you don't have a website set up, then for online shopping, I think that's something really to look into, because, that's the way it is now. So
yeah. And actually, I was going to say to anybody who has a business, definitely follow Joanne on Instagram. Your stories are amazing. Like the work and the effort you put into them, you really know how to connect with people online. And I think that's another thing people can sometimes struggle with. So it's good to see people who are doing it well. I look to you all the time for inspiration with that. I think you're so good at it. And you really know how to express yourself there. So
I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I think connecting. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to ask you about after Jet Baby. So what came next for you?
So this was the beginning of a theme in my world. Clearing out things that aren't serving you.
Yes.
And, having the awareness of what is serving you and what is not serving you. Having the faith and the courage and the confidence to remove yourself from things that are not serving you, and it makes room for amazing things to come into your life. Really, you have to sometimes clear off your plate for good things to be able to come into your world. And that's happened to me a few times now. And I'm starting to see the pattern. Took a few years, but I'm starting to get there. So after I took about 3 months off and I didn't do anything, I just had to decompress. Really, it was, I ended up with adrenal fatigue from just the years of stress. It's like the years of fight or flight, the years of waking up at 3 a.m, like the world is falling, because you're being crushed by the world. It took a toll on me physically, because your body's just constantly in that fight or flight sort of mode. So, after that, I did a few things. I went back to what I love, which is health. And that's something that's been a constant in my life. I love health and wellness. And so there was a health food store that opened up near my house, and it was an American chain. They were just entering Canada. And I thought, this is what I love. I'm just going to get a job there and just see what happens. I thought, there maybe I'll, be a manager in one of their stores or something, like, who knows? So I took a job. All they were hiring for were part-time cashiers. And within 3 weeks, I was in the office, working, doing stuff in the office, or promotions and dealing with their head office in New York and stuff. So it worked out really well, except that store did not. Again, another casualty of retail. That store ended up closing after about 9 months or so. So I lost my job, which I wasn't too upset about, because, but I knew I was on the right path. Yeah. In the meantime, I had met a woman in my neighborhood who, I met her through a neighbor, and she was running these online, wellness programs, slim down kind of, exercise programs and stuff like that. So I met her, and I started watching her and watching what she was doing. And I was just fascinated. And I think that what really got me was, I still had my store at the time, and it was a snow day. and I had to bring my little boys to work with me. Poor little kids. They had to sit in my back office while I had my store open. And I remember looking on Facebook, and she had spent the day at home with her kids, just carrying on as normal. She worked from home. And I was like, I don't know what she's doing, but I want to do what she's doing.
Yeah.
So when I lost my job, I was thinking about her. I'm like, I have to contact her and see what she's doing. And then lo and behold, she was standing in front of me in the health food store. I had never met her before. We'd only been Facebook friends, and there she was. So we ended up going to out for a coffee, and I'm like, I want to do whatever it is that you're doing. I knew she was involved in health and wellness in some capacity. So she introduced me to the business model of network marketing, which I had no experience of. I didn't know anything about it. People were like, oh, it's one of those things. I'm like, I don't know what things you're talking about. I had no preconceived notion of what it is. And in fact, when I looked at it from the lens of a small business owner, it was like the most brilliant business model I've ever seen. So the whole idea of it is helping people, which is what I love to do, and which is what I love to do in my store. And, you know, I get to help people feel better. I get to help people with their health, which is what I'm all about. You know, and there's so many different companies out there, whether you're into, you know, makeup, whether you're into skincare, whether you're into like, you know, workout clothes, whatever floats your boat kind of thing. So the company she happened to be with is all about dense nutrition, which like, that is totally my jam. So, you know, and I've been with them now for 5.5 years, and I love it. I love it, love it, love it. And I get to help people and help people feel better and live better and eat better. And there's nothing like it.
Wow. So, it must be so rewarding to see transformations in your clients too, eh? Like,
it is. It's so, to get those text messages saying like, I feel so good, or, you know, our friend, we have a friend who I was helping, and she messaged me and said, you know, I've ridden my bicycle for the first time in 30 years. Or, you know, when she messaged me and said I was able to walk up the stairs without holding onto the handrail like that. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Feeling in the world like that, you know, it's so great. And that's why I do what I do. I love it. So,
oh, that's amazing, Joanne. And so, you know what else I love? Okay, this I was going to bring up actually at the very beginning, but now there's a nice tie-in here, is that, okay, first of all, you were my very first interview after COVID hit.
Yeah.
So COVID, Friday, March the 13th, the world came to an end. I said, hey, Joanne, I want to interview. I don't even know what I'm doing. And I interviewed you on a speakerphone on St. Patrick's Day on the 16th. Yeah. And then as a result, I'm like, oh my God, now I'm living this dream of a talk show. And I came up with a name, and I'm like, you got to come back on, because I didn't do you justice that time. So, but at that time, and going back to your whole dream of like George Brown College and the culinary thing. So you were pre-COVID, you were enrolled at George Brown. You were making that happen.
Yeah. So, oh my gosh.
And that's
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us about that, like what the course was that you were with, and where does it stand now? Like, are you going to be able to somehow do this online, or?
Yeah. So just to give you some context. So in the meantime, I had been, I started working with this network marketing company, and it was just kind of my little side hustle kind of thing. And as the years have gone on, I really have held to heart, you know, to do what you love and to find out what lights you up. And like I said, what makes you want to jump out of bed in the morning. And that's what it is, nutrition. And I wanted to get back to the culinary thing, because that is like where my heart is. So I'd been working this job, and I made the decision to quit. I gave them my notice February 1st. I gave them a month's notice. By the time my notice was up, the whole world had shut down. So I had enrolled in George Brown. I was going to do my network marketing thing, you know, on a full-time basis. I was going to do a blog. I was going to do the culinary course, have lots of content. And then COVID happened, and I was like, oh my God, what have I done? What have I done? Right? Oh my goodness. So my course was canceled. I ended up getting a refund, which, you know, I did attend a few classes, and then it was all kind of just on hold, and then they decided to refund everybody. I know that they are offering it online now. So whether I do it now. Just life is so busy. I can't even imagine, fitting it in, but it's something that I could do. But yeah. So interesting. So I'm still waiting to get my blog going. That's something it's on my to-do list every week. But
okay, I'll be your accountability partner.
Oh, I would love that. Yeah. It's something I've really, really wanted to do, just to share my knowledge. I think, it took a long time for me to say that I feel like I have value to bring. I've been living, a plant-based life for most of my adult life, and I think I have value to give, and information to share. So, yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic, Joanne. You've always had value to give. You're all about the value.
Sometimes it's hard to see it in yourself, though, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, I know. Yeah, for sure. I was saying this the other day to somebody, like, if you think you work for a terrible boss, wait till you work for yourself. The bad boss isn't so bad.
Right. I know.
Oh, God.
Discipline for sure. But yeah. There was one good thing. The job that I did before, I was one of my positions there was to do YouTube videos. So I would do, like kind of crafts, crazy crafts or whatever. And like Martha Stewart with my own little show. And so it helped me get comfortable in front of the camera. And so that was my dream. I was writing blogs for them. I was writing newsletters. I was doing YouTube videos, everything tied together. And I thought, I can do this for myself. I want to do this for myself. So that was kind of the impetus, really. So I've done a few videos at home. I need to get a better setup. Like I need to wrangle one of my kids to be my camera person. Using my phone. But yeah, I love doing it. It's so fun. It's so much fun. And it's getting a little more comfortable as the more I do it.
Yeah, it's practice. Yeah, for sure. So what I want to talk about now, girl, is your passion for health and wellness has also done some really cool things in our community. This passion you have where you are a very strong believer that nobody should go hungry. So tell us what you're doing about hunger in the community and how you're helping there.
Well, every New Year's we all make resolutions, and they're usually, probably 9 times out of 10, it's to lose weight, and I read a statistic that most people have fallen off their resolution by the time, the third week in January rolls around. And I thought, how can I make a resolution, that's not to do with that kind of stuff, that actually affects some kind of change, that actually does some good. So what I thought I would do is every time I go to the grocery store, and if, other people are like me, I'm there multiple times a week because I forget stuff or so I thought every time I hit the grocery store, I'm going to pick up at least 1 or 2 things for the food bank, and I'm going to donate it. So that's what I did. So I have a little bin in my kitchen, and I grab a couple things, a few cans of tuna, some cans of soup, whatever. And I was filling up this bin. So the first month I brought 2 bags of food to the groceries. The second month I brought 2 more bags. And then March hit, the end of February, COVID. And everyone stopped going out, including me. And so my grocery visits were cut right down. And by the end of March, my little bin was so pitiful. I only had a couple of things in it. I was pulling things from my cupboard. That was the other rule. If I went to the grocery store and I forgot to get something, then I pulled something from my cupboard to put into the bin. Like I had to get at least 1 item every time I went. That was my own little rule. So I decided that I would put out a call to our neighborhood Facebook group. And so I just explained what I was doing. I said, if anyone wants to join in with me, leave a can on your porch. I'll come pick it up, and we can donate together. So,
wow!
Oh my gosh, the response was incredible. The response was beyond what I even imagined. So I ended up collecting bags of groceries, not just 1 can. People were donating bags and bags of groceries. Wow. And I went to the food bank, and it was like, I don't know, I can't remember what it was now. It was over 200 pounds of food. The gentleman said that this would feed 5 families, the amount of food that I had collected. And then so the admin for the neighborhood Facebook group said, if you want to do this on a monthly basis, go ahead, I'll pin the post to the top of the group, and, let's make this a thing. So I thought, okay, why not? And then someone else in the neighborhood who volunteers for the food bank saw my post and contacted me and set up like an online donation in my name at the food bank. And so every month I've been collecting for the food bank. And the last count now, well, I think this was from July, so I haven't got August. I didn't get August number, but as of July, it was $700 cash and over 700 pounds of food donated.
Oh my God, Joanne.
Yeah, so I know in August it was 150, I think. So I'm probably at about 850 pounds of food and at least $700 donated just from our little neighborhood, just from that little New Year's resolution. And it feels so good. It feels so good to be able to give back and to get involved. It's such a great feeling.
That's so great. And you've got something exciting coming up this weekend on that too, right?
Yes.
So for anybody who's watching, this weekend would be September. I'm just thinking for people who are watching it later on YouTube.
Right. September 19th, I think.
19th.
Right? Yeah.
September 19th, 2020. Yes. History. Okay.
That's right. So I'm putting my own collection on pause this month because our neighborhood, there's normally a community picnic that happens in September. Of course, because of COVID, we can't have that. So instead, what we're doing is a drive-through food drive. So we've secured a spot. For anyone local, it's at the Millcroft Plaza in front of the Shoppers Drug Mart. We've secured a part of the parking lot, and basically you grab your bags of groceries, bring them, drive in, and then we will open your trunk or, open your car door, grab the groceries, and you drive away. So there's no contact, and it's a great way to help contribute. So I'm so
that's amazing.
In that, yeah,
that is huge. That's so fantastic, Joanne. Yeah. Oh my God, I can't believe that many pounds of food.
Yes, it's amazing. Yeah, wow. I'm so happy, so proud. So I really want to get to, I'm pretty sure we're going to hit 1,000 pounds by the end of the year. I would love to get to $1,000 and 1,000 pounds by the end of the year.
You will.
So good. Yeah.
You will for sure. Yeah. That's great. So the community Facebook page you're on, for anybody who wants to know, it's the Orchard?
Yes, it's our Orchard community. Our Orchard community is the Facebook page.
Okay.
But I think it's orchardfooddrive.com. We can maybe post it in the comments, the website with all the information, but it's going to be from, I think, 12 to 3. This Saturday.
Oh, perfect. Your sister.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
What time you're there?
Thanks.
We're on it, G. We are on it. Your sister is a great sharer. She is so sweet.
I know. She's
my God, I love her. She's totally on it. Thanks, JD.
My whole family loves you.
Aw, I love your family too. Oh my God, your 50th birthday, that was so fun.
Oh my God, what a surprise. You guys got me good. I had no idea.
Yeah, no idea. Good. We got you real good. Yeah. So Joanne, now on the spirit of giving, tell us about your dogs and where they came from.
Yes.
They're so precious.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So ever since I was little, I've always wanted to rescue all of the dogs. I'm like a dog lover through and through. I was obsessed with dogs when I was young. So I've always had rescue dogs. I've had 2 rescue dogs. I've fostered dogs, and donated and, taken part in bake sales and auctions and to try and do my part. And I remember thinking, I know people were rescuing dogs from different countries. And I was one of those people that was like, well, there's lots of dogs in Canada that need to be rescued and stuff. But it wasn't until a trip to Cuba, and I would go to Cuba on a holiday. I've been there, I think, 8 times now. And I, like many other people, just assumed all the cats, lived the life. Like on the beach, they got fed from the resort, they had the best life. And it wasn't until somebody said something about how the animals are culled. And I didn't want to believe it. No, of course not. The staff don't mind the cats and stuff. I never saw dogs, but lots of cats. And I found out it's actually true. So if you went back 2 weeks later, the cats that you were feeding at the buffet weren't going to be there anymore. And not because they got adopted out, right? I started looking into it, and it's actually true. And It's, I know stray animals, stray cats and dogs are a problem all over the world, but in Cuba, it's a little bit different because there are no laws to protect animals there at all, at all, at all. There are no fines, there's no SPCA, there's no Humane Society. It's not, there's not really the organized rescue groups like we have here. And the government, actually, how they deal with their stray problem, there's an enormous problem with stray animals there because nobody spays or neuters their dogs. So the animals are left to breed like uncontrolled. And the way that the government deals with it is they have a government program, and basically it's trucks or bicycles with cages, and they go around and they just collect animals off the street and they poison them. And they poison them with strychnine, which is like horrendously painful, slow, torturous way to die. And if there's no strychnine, they just do whatever they need to do to kill these animals. So it's when I learned about it, the more I learned about it, honestly, I couldn't sleep. I felt sick to my stomach. Like, what could I do to help? And that kind of changed my mindset, like to that question or that, statement. There are lots of dogs in Canada that need to be rescued. And yes, of course there are. But we have organizations in place like the Humane Society. If I saw someone trying to kill a dog on the street, it wouldn't be the government. I could call someone, the police, and it's to help, right? Yeah. Here, in Cuba, it's just not like that. And the poor people there, especially now with COVID, because of the embargo and stuff. And I know, all the political stuff, I set all of that aside because at the end of the day, it's the people that, are suffering because of what's going on. They have no control over what their government says or does. And a lot of people don't have enough for themselves, let alone for their animals. So people, abandon animals, and it's just a disaster. So there are a few groups in Canada. There's some in Europe and Britain that help. So there are vets, and they take it upon themselves, or rescuers, they call them, take it upon themselves to take in street animals. So it's not uncommon to find people that have 15, 20, 40 dogs. The vet that I ended up rescuing my 2 dogs from has 85 dogs on her property. She's got like a small property, and she goes through 20 kilograms of rice a day to feed all of these dogs, and she relies on just donations from different groups to keep her going, kind of thing. So I met this woman because I was doing a little research. I found this woman in Mississauga. She was just doing it on her own, similar sort of thing. She went to Cuba on vacation, realized what was going on, and she's been doing it for, I don't know, maybe 8 years or so, or 5 years, and has made all kinds of connections there with vets, and she is kind of the conduit. So I joined her group, and she posted a picture of a puppy that had been found by himself. He was only a few months old, and he had covered in mange. He had no hair, like riddled with worms and fleas and different things like that, and who ended up going to this vet. And so I raised my hand and said that I would adopt him, but I wanted to go down there and get him myself. I didn't want to put any extra stress or strain on the resources that Paula had available. So I said, I'll fly down and get him. And then she posted a picture of another dog, and this dog was so gorgeous. I'm like, I'll take her too. Well, even if I bring her to Canada, maybe I can adopt her out, I'll bring her home. So I ended up bringing 3 dogs home. I brought one home for
I love it
as well. So I had 2 dogs in cargo and 1 little puppy under the seat. And I ended up.
Okay, I have to interrupt for 1 sec, Joanne. Do you remember in grade 4, grade 5, that little boy that was in our class, Bryce Cox, and he used to read to us, and he used to read these little stories. He was so good at reading, and he'd read the stories about dogs and cats and animals, and I don't know why, I just had this, and I remember you and a couple other girls, you were like, and Sally, like you guys were big animal lovers, and you were just like, so intense. Yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry that just when you said you rescued 3 dogs, I'm like, I'm pretty sure we had a little book about that. And
right. Yeah. Actually, I got a gerbil from Bryce Cox too. Actually, I got 2 gerbils from Bryce Cox, and they ended up being, he told me they were both female, and they ended up being a male and a female. And before you know it, I had lots of gerbils. I had to end up finding homes for. Oh my gosh!
Oh, that's so funny.
Breeding. Holy cow!
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, so I've got these 2 dogs, and I got so emotionally invested after being there and seeing, visiting this vet, seeing how she lived, and oh my goodness. I thought, I want to do something to help. What can I do to help? And I remember my beautiful friend Monica, who had created a bracelet for Ladybird Animal Sanctuary. And I remember I still have it here, and it had the little paw charm on it.
Yeah.
And I remember this bracelet, and I remember your fundraising. And I thought, well, I'm not an organization. I'm just a single person. I don't know if I could do something like that. But on one of our morning walks, I talked about it, and you were so down to help me.
Oh,
together we collaborated and came up with these beautiful bracelets here. And you brought to life my vision so perfectly, because I wanted them to remind me of the beautiful Cuban waters, the ocean in Cuba, this beautiful turquoise that I love so much. And you did such an incredible job. I love them.
I'm so happy you love them. And do the doggies all approve?
Oh, yes.
They do? Okay, good. I captured their homeland.
Yeah. Actually, my teenage son was wearing them a couple of days ago. He's like, I really like these. So I opened it up, and I've sold, what are we at now? Over 50, I think.
Yeah.
And I think we're at about $850 that we've raised. And this money is going to help fund the build of a clinic, a veterinary clinic, in an area of Cuba where there is none, and it's so desperately needed. So it's going to cost $14,000 Canadian, and I think Paula has been working tirelessly, and she's like almost there. I think she's at about the $11,000 mark. So if I can raise $1,000 from these bracelets, which we're almost there, that's going to help just maybe reach her goal. So I am so excited. Yeah.
Oh, that's so wonderful. And Joanne, I also had a couple of people ask if there was like a GoFundMe page for this.
There is
as well. Okay, there is. Okay.
That's a GoFundMe page. Yeah. Yes.
Good.
So post that as well.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so happy for you. And you know what? The bracelets look great on you. You're such a good marketer. And I love the name Forever Free. It's beautiful, and you're sending them out with little cards to explain the cause. And it's fantastic. I think it's so nice. And like I say to everybody, the bracelets, they're a real touchstone. When you wear them, you remember why you bought them and why and how they're helping. And they're a great conversation piece, right? When you're out with other people and you tell them, and I think more than anything, it's a great way to spread awareness to a cause, and I'm really happy that you came on today and you talked about it, because I didn't know that either, that there are no laws in Cuba. And that's the real issue here, is that these animals are just getting scooped up, and there's nothing to regulate how they're treated, or so even God, with this vet clinic, if I was there on holiday and I saw a stray and I knew there was a vet I could just pick it up and take it over, no questions asked, right? It's so important, because it's going to provide a safe and sterile place for animals. So right now, vets will travel to this area that has no, there is no vet clinic or vets there. So they will travel there to perform spays and neuters, but they're doing it literally on tables outside or kitchen tables, and the animals have surgery and then off they go, right? And so they're prone to infection, and also there's nowhere for them to actually recover safely. So it's gonna tick off so many check boxes. So I'm so excited. We're almost there. You are amazing, Joanne. Look at us. See, you're my longest interview. Oh, is it? And I could still talk to you for another hour. I still want to have, if you have time for a little 10-minute Instagram after party, I would love to talk to you on there. Thank you so much for your time today. You are an incredible human. I'm
Oh,
so happy your parents moved you to Oakville.
me too. I know.
Yeah. Thank God.
Oh,
Thank God.
thank you so much. I was, a little nervous about coming on, but it's just like talking to my friend Monica. It's amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah, I loved it. Thank you so much,
me
and thanks for
too.
everything that you do to empower women and to build women up. I love that
Oh,
we have that same core value. So
yeah,
yeah,
exactly. It was in the water at Woodside.
yeah.
That's for sure. Okay, Joe, love you so much. Thank you.
We'll see you on Instagram.
See you there. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Is she not a delight? Oh my gosh, she's amazing. And look at how she turned her life around and really, she's so brave, because this is what I love about introducing you to these entrepreneurs. It's not about being perfect. It's about trying things and putting yourself out there, because inevitably, yes, what happens is that you end up on a path that works for you. And we don't come into this world knowing what our right path is. It is through trial and error. I actually hate that word error, because there is no error. It's through trial. It's through experimenting. It's through just putting yourself out there, jumping off a cliff every once in a while, and just doing your best, because that's really all we can do. Please join us next week again for another episode of Get to Know Her. And before I forget, check out my friend Brenda Bedome and her beautiful clothing, brendabedome.com. I will leave her information here. And don't forget to use the coupon code Get to Know Her for 13% off. And lastly, if you are watching this on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel, and please share with your friends this channel so that they can also listen to inspiring women that I know. And I hope it helped. Have a great day. Love you guys.